German Desk Cook here, and today I'm going to be making this massive standing desk.
Yes, that's right. In this video, I'll be making the huge desk you saw there. In fact, I'm a pretty big guy at 6'4", about 260 pounds, so, you know, it's not that I'm a small guy. That desk is actually very large. In fact, it's 43 inches high by 33 inches wide by 65 inches long. You can see the CAD model here that I made on draft site. It's just a 2D CAD package. From this drawing, I made a cuts list, and with that in hand, all I had to do was just take it to the chop saw or the miter saw and make my cuts. This of course took a little bit. Oh yeah, watch your feet. I'd recommend wearing shoes. Definitely do that when you're doing anything like this. And put some rounds in the edges as needed. And then here I'm putting slots in the boards. These boards will actually support a piece of 1/2" MDF, so it's a 1/2" square that I could put on there. It'd be recessed. You'll see how it works a little bit later in the video. Sanded everything. I used 2x4s and 2x6s. And then you can see me here, I'm lining up the 1/2" MDF. So you can kind of see how it works there. Now the problem is the MDF was not cut quite correctly by the local hardware store. Wasn't too happy about that, but I decided what I would do is put a line on it, make a jig, and then put it on my router. You know, hindsight's 20/20, and this didn't really work that well. You can see it kind of slipping here. Probably should have just used an orbital, handheld saw or something, but it worked okay, especially after doing some sanding with my orbital sander. From there, it was time to make the side supports. I lined it up with my square, and then drilled the screws in. Lined the second side up after I had the first screw in, so that way if it got knocked off, I'd be able to line it up nicely. After that, I used the 10-inch supports in the middle to line everything up, including the square and everything else again. I took a lot of pains to make sure it was level, and it ended up paying off in the end. You can see here the way it's made is you've got a 2x4 on one side, and then you've got another 2x4 that helps support the MDF. It's actually lowered a 1/2", and that supports the supports the vertical side as well. So yeah, again, watch your feet. I used a drill initially and then a hand screwdriver to finally put the screws in all the way. I use a similar technique on my bed that I made for my son. I'll put a link to it in the description and on the little information thing. So yeah, there I am putting the second support together. Once that was together, put some holes in the side and then put a middle support in. That's a 2x6. Use the power drill on there too, but here I am using a hand screwdriver. So I'm just observing there, taking some more measurements. And there I am putting the back piece on that'll support the 1/2" MDF. You can see here the hole in the middle is actually not in the middle, it's offset to the bottom. It's actually lined up with the middle of the inside 2x4. So with that all done, I pushed it over and it supported itself. It's a big victory. And the MDF fit on okay. Looks like that'll be pretty good. With that done, I turned it over again and put another 2x4 on the other side and attached it together with a piece of a ratchet strap. With the holes put in there, I then attached that with screws, and it looked pretty good. Well, there was one little problem. This wood was bowed a little bit, so back to the ratchet strap, strapped that together, and I put another piece of wood in the middle as a support. I thought I might have to do that just to support the MDF, but you know, I had to do it because of the bowed nature of the 2x4s. So with that done, it looked quite a bit better. Really solid top. I was happy how this turned out. So one thing, the side, I was going to put another support on the side piece. This is another 2x6. Decided this was a great opportunity to put my logo on it. You can see it milling it here. And then I filled it in with some spray paint on there. And you'll see in just a second, I take my orbital sander and sand off the rest of it. Because this will be stained later, it's kind of a subtle emblem, but it looks pretty nice. You know, somebody sees it like, oh, that's your logo. I mean, that hasn't happened yet, but it could happen. To attach these, I used a pocket hole jig, which I just got. I really like it. Happy how that makes things work just a little bit better. And here I am holding it up in place and attaching the screws. Used the power drill where I could, but on the inside it was just too tight. After that, it was time to remove the MDF to stain everything. Used a pretty dark stain on this, kind of a cherry type stain. Really looked beautiful on this wood, on the 2x4s. Lots and lots of staining, and after that it was time for a coat of urethane. And after that I sanded it a couple hours later and put on yet another layer of urethane. Really amazing how, you know, wood, it looks pretty good with a symbol, or even at the hardware store, but you put stain on it and the urethane just looks so much better. So with that done, I put the MDF back on. Should fit perfectly, but it didn't. So what did I do? Got out a mallet. That didn't really work either. So shorten that up a little bit. I actually just used my orbital sander. A little bit of work here, fit in nicely. With that done, I was really happy with how it turned out. The MDF just makes a nice smooth surface, and if it needs to be replaced at some point, I just buy another piece of MDF. I did have to put a hole in it for my lamp, which you can see me here, it's smoking quite a bit. But with that done, it took it in the office, and it looks really, really beautiful. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and just being able to stand and work on some of my projects is really fun. Oh, and there's my logo. It looks pretty good. So it didn't take long for it to get filled up with electronic stuff. I'm really happy with that. Just nice to have some space for everything. So anyway, I'm sure I'll be making some stuff on this in the future. If you'd like to see what comes next, be sure to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, or even just leave a comment. Thanks for watching. Jeremy S. Cook, signing off.
And at 6'4", I'm going to be making this massive staining desk today. So follow along and see what happens. GoPro stop video.